Hi there, new beavers. My name is Shelvina, and I'm the first year experience success coach for the language and people and arts home-based pathway communities. I have our wonderful counselor Carmelita here who will introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carmelita Palomares. I am the counselor for today, and I'm going to be helping you put together an amazing first semester schedule. I work closely with first year experienced students. I also work with the Puente project, and I'm part of the home base, the STEM home base.
Thank you, Carmelita. You are watching a Get Connected session today, which is our enrollment and registration orientation at American River College. This session is current as of July 21st, 2022. It is important after watching the recording of this video that you meet with your first year experience counselor or any other counselors and make sure that the information you learned today is still accurate for the semester you will be enrolling for. I will be starting my PowerPoint presentation now. At American River College, before we start any of our events, we like to honor the land upon which our campus resides. We start that honoring and acknowledgement with our land use statement. We acknowledge the land which we occupy today as the traditional home of the Nisenan, Maidu, and Miwok tribal nations. These sovereign people have been the caretakers of this land since time immemorial. Despite centuries of genocide and occupation, the Nisenan, Maidu, and Miwok continue as vibrant and resilient tribes and bands, both federally recognized and unrecognized. We take this opportunity to acknowledge the generations that have gone before, as well as the present day Nisenan, Maidu, and Miwok people. You are watching a Get Connected session today. This session is hosted by the First Year Experience program at our college. Our contact info is listed below. The chat room is the fastest way to reach our team members for any questions or concerns. Today, you'll be making the connection. You'll learn about the First Year Experience program. You'll understand how to navigate e-services, which is your student portal. You'll learn to search for and enroll in classes. You'll explore your program roadmap. You'll understand the student workload today, and our counselor Carmelita today will present to you some important information. A little bit about our program. We work with all first-time new to college students. So if you've never been to college before, whether you have taken a gap year, graduated, or not graduated, this First Year Experience program is for you. You have an assigned success team. In your success team, you will find your counselors, your biggest resources when it comes to planning your classes, picking your major, or even changing your major. Your success coaches, such as myself, can assist you with signing up for those classes, navigating your e-services, connecting you to tutors, and other resources on campus. You also have peer mentors who are other student leaders who've completed their first year, and they can give you some helpful tips and advice on how to be a successful student here at ARC. We also have some fun events planned for you and workshops. Our workshops consist of nursing basics, STEM basics, transfer basics, and our events consist of one big one we're having is the fall kickoff. It's a event where you can go and get a chance to engage with other students, connect with your college campus, join a club, and find your place at American River College. Please look out for communication from your success team via your student Gmail account. Some important handouts to be aware of. You can get it from the FYE chat room or ask your FYE counselor about these documents. The academic handouts are the general ed requirements for UC-CSU and the ARC graduation requirements. These are mainly used during your counseling appointment with your counselors. Other important handouts are the next steps flyer. That flyer just helps you know where you are at and what next steps to take. The Get Connected worksheet we will go over, and the financial aid deadline handout. Let's talk about financial aid. We'll go over some information about fee waivers, the applications, grants, and loans. Tuition fee waivers. The first one is the California College Promise Grant, formerly known as the BOG fee waiver. In order to qualify for the California Promise Grant, you must be a California resident. You have to maintain a 2.0 GPA, pass at least half of your classes, have your FAFSA, DREAM Act, or Promise Grant application on file. There are no income requirements for California Promise Grant, but you do need a high school diploma to qualify. The California College Promise Program is a fee waiver for first-time college students. and you must be a California resident. Also, you must have a FAFSA or DREAM Act application on file and enroll in at least 12 units, which is the minimum for full-time. You also have to declare a major and take a math and English class your first year. The Promise program at ARC will waive your tuition fees for 2 years, but there are a couple of other campus-based fees that you still have to pay listed at the bottom. There is no income requirements or limitation for the California Promise program fee waiver. All you have to do is meet the requirements of enrolling into 12 units each semester, and the college will waive your tuition fees up to 2 years. Our financial aid center communicates with you through your e-services message center or the to-do list. So please keep an eye out on those areas and respond to them as soon as possible. A quick guide on financial aid. There are 2 different applications. The most familiar one is the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. And in order to submit that application, you must have a social security number. If you do not have a social security number, no worries. You can submit the California DREAM Act application. Please submit these applications every year. There are some requirements you have to maintain in order to keep receiving financial aid. One of them is your high school diploma or GED, maintaining a 2.0 and completing at least 2/3 of units that you attempt. So if you enroll in 12 units each semester, 2/3 of that semester will be 9. So you want to make sure that you're passing 9 units each semester so you can maintain your eligibility. There are also certain classes that are eligible for financial aid. Once you decide on a major, only those classes that are applicable to your major are eligible for financial aid. You're welcome to take any classes outside of your major here at ARC. Just keep in mind you may not receive financial aid for those classes. There are 3 types of financial aid to be aware of. Grants, that's free money. Most popular is the Pell Grant or the Cal Grant. Loans, they're resources, but if you do not need it, please don't get it since you do have to repay them back. Lastly, the fee waivers that we talked about earlier. I will stop here and have our Counselor Carmelita present about ensuring college success.
Thank you, Shelvina. Thank you, Shelvina. So now I'm going to be talking to you about how to put together a great first semester schedule. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you, so bear with me for 1 second. And as you can see here, there's a few things that we want to take care of first thing and first before we, plan out our schedule. At ARC, many students are, they have many different objectives, many different goals, and quite a few don't realize that there's so many different choices and options. You can either go for certificates, associate's degrees, or for some of you may be looking at just transferring to a 4-year university, but don't realize that we actually offer the associate's degree for transfer, which is pretty awesome. But before we can kind of go through any very specific item, I do want to go through like a quick rundown of what each one requires. The certificates, as you can see here, we have many different certificates in so many different areas, but those only require major classes, no general education. And the units, it varies every semester. You can kind of take a look and see how many different certificates we offer. The associate's degree, on the other hand, requires major classes, general education, and ultimately you need to get 60 degree applicable units. And for general education, you should be taking between 8 or 9 classes. And then for the associate's degree for transfer, those are under the abbreviation of ADT, AAT, or AST. And yes, you need major requirements. Then you're also are going to have to do between 13 and 15 courses that are general education. But ultimately, your goal is to get 60 transferable units. Now, one thing I do want to remind you is that you do not have to have an associate's degree to transfer to a university, okay? If you want to find out what's available through ARC, I recommend checking out the programs and major section. You can find this in the homepage for ARC under the academics option. And you can see whether or not we offer a certificate for any particular major, if we offer an associate's degree for transfer, or if we offer just the standalone associate's degree without the transfer option. here's an example for someone who's pursuing a certificate. We are using the example of general business. This certificate requires 12 to 13 units, basically for classes, and no general education, just what is listed here. Accounting, business 300, business 340, and marketing. That's all. And you can petition to get the certificate. Now, if you're looking at getting an associate's degree, as you can see here, you're going to need these courses listed here. So you're going to need accounting, business, computer information science, which is under the abbreviation of CISA. And this one is applications. You're also going to see marketing. And then there's a few other classes that you can select. This associate's degrees, any associate's degree will require between 8 or 9 classes that are general education. So that way you can reach those 60 degree applicable units. Now, if you do not reach 60 units with major and general education, that's where you go and get some elective units. Okay. Now, the general education associate's degree requirements are listed here. This is the 2022-2023 ARC GE pattern. And think of each one of these sections as categories that you need to take a class in. And you must complete areas 1 through 6 in order to meet all the general education requirements for the associate's degree. Okay. We are going to look at an example here is the associate's degree for transfer for business administration. This one is probably one of our more popular associate's degrees because business is a very popular program. Here you're going to see that you are required to do some accounting classes, business, econ, math, and statistics. Ultimately, you're going to get a total of 26 to 27 units just for the major. And then you also have to complete between 13 and 15 classes that are general education, which can be done using the general education pattern that is under the CSU or the IGETC. And I will show you the examples of both of those. But you have to get at least 60 transferable units to transfer, okay? The general education PE forms are these ones. And on the left side, actually, you're going to see the CSU general education pattern. This is specifically for the California State Universities. There's 23 CSUs. The closest to us is Sacramento State. And what you need to do is complete areas A through F in order to meet all of your GE for transferring to a state university. Make sure you read each section because it'll tell you whether there's a grade requirement or how many units are necessary for each area. Plus, it'll give you the list of the classes that are approved to meet those sections. And for the IGETC, the actual name is the Intersegmental General Education Transfer Curriculum. This is geared towards students who want to transfer to the UCs. So such as UC Davis, UCLA, UC Merced. It's also a really good pattern to use if you're planning on applying to both the UCs and the CSU system, because you're also meeting CSU requirements for admissions. Private universities and out-of-state universities also like this general education pattern because it's pretty thorough and it's a little bit more rigorous than the CSU pattern. Again, you want to meet and complete areas 1 through 6A. Now, a few other items to remember as you're considering transferring. Make sure you start planning early. It's important that you meet with a counselor at least once each semester to make sure you're keeping track of your requirements for admissions to any university. Some schools are very competitive, or they call them impacted or selective, and therefore there may be specific major requirements or a specific GPA requirement in order to get admitted. Students do apply a year in advance for fall admissions, and then not all universities accept spring applicants. So again, keep track of all this information by meeting with your counselor every semester. The 2 local universities are Sacramento State and UC Davis. They are our feeder schools. So if you want to meet with a admissions representative from Sac State or from UC Davis, I do recommend checking out the services from the Transfer Center. Now, a little bit more of information on what other resources for those of you who are considering transferring. On the left side, you have Transfer Down. This is a great website to check out if you already know your major, but you're not sure where you want to transfer and you're trying to find out which are the schools that offer the major that you're looking at or considering. And then the website on the right, assist.org, is specifically to find out what are the major requirements for admissions into any of the 23 of the CSUs or any of the 9 UCs. Check these websites often because that's what the universities are using to send information about admissions and requirements. You may be looking at these two websites during your second appointment with a counselor as you're planning to transfer. Now that you've gotten all these tools on what it's required to get an associate's degree or what's required to get a certificate or what you need to transfer, I'm sure you're wondering how to put together your first semester schedule and what it should look like. Before we do that, I want to remind you that we need to know your placements for English and math. So I want you to log in to your eServices account by going into the ARC homepage. And on the top of the screen, find the section that says Student Login and select eServices. That's where you're gonna find your home page for your eServices. This is where you add classes, drop classes. This is where you find if you have financial aid or if you need to pay for your classes. Task is one of the areas that you need to check often to make sure you don't have any holds or any items on your to-do list. And then when you meet with a counselor and they create a student education plan for you, it will be located under the Academic Progress tab. But today we're going to focus under the Academic Record tile because that's where you're going to find your math and your English placement. And one of the classes that we as counselors recommend for your first semester is going to be your English writing class. Now, to understand which is going to be the English writing class you should take and which is going to be your math class, you want to kind of take a look at some of the examples that I have here to know how to read these classes. These are just examples, but let's start with the English. If you look at the different paths here, path 1 and path 2, these are the two options that you have. If you have English Writing 300 on your placement, and it says English Writing 300, and it also says English Writing 480, that means that you can take the English Writing standalone without any support, and it's 3 units. And you can also try to get into English Writing 480, which is the honors version of the same class. English Writing 300, it's an associate, it's required for an associate's degree because it meets English competency requirements, plus it transfers to the CSUs and the UCs, and it's an overall great class to have because it gives you a good foundation as to what is required for you to know when you're writing college level papers, okay? Now, if you see on your placement, English Writing 94, plus the 2 rings under prerequisites, that means that you can also take English Writing 300. However, you are required to do a 2-unit support class with that English Writing 300. Along with the support class, you also need to take English Writing 96 and English Reading 111. Those are tutoring for reading, tutoring for writing. And an overall of 6 units is what you're going to take if you decide to do English writing your first semester and you have 94 on your placement. I know it's a lot of units, and 6 units is considered part-time, so it's almost like a part-time job if you were to plan on taking this combo classes. So be careful as you're planning your schedule because some of these classes may seem like they may be easy, but they require quite a bit of work outside of class, okay? Now let's talk about math. So for math, you're gonna see a lot of options on your placements. Please don't be afraid when you see all these math classes listed on your placement. It does not mean you're gonna have to take all of them. It's mainly based on your major, okay? So if your major is under like a liberal arts area such as English, art, or history, then you should aim at taking Math 300. If you're a business major, more than likely you're going to be doing statistics or Math 340 or 342. If you are in a high unit major, for example, pre-med, or you're considering engineering or computer science, then more than likely you're going to have to do calculus, and you have to build your skills to get to the calculus level. Here it shows Math 372, 373, and 375, where it tells you whether or not it's going to take you to calculus, okay? For those of you who are undecided, please don't take a math class your first semester. You want to wait until your second semester, do some major exploration first, just to know what it is that you want to study before you enroll into a math class. And for those of you who know for sure what your major is going to be, I recommend checking out the majors and the roadmaps under the catalog, and it will give you an idea of which is the math that is necessary for your major. But before you enroll, make sure you read if the math class has any prerequisites. Remember, some of you may not be at the level of the math that is listed on your roadmap, so you need to build your skills to get to a certain level, okay? Now, this is just an example of what some first semester schedule could look like. Keep in mind that part-time is typically about 6 units, and full-time is 12 units or more. The summer is optional. Some students choose to do summer classes, but you don't have to. If you do decide to do summer and you want to take some classes, 6 units is considered full-time. And that is because during the summer, classes are condensed into a shorter amount of time. So you might be doing 4-week classes, 6-week classes, or 8-week classes, and you're still doing the same amount of units, which means the same amount of work. So first thing, I'm going to put an example here of some of the classes. If I were a business major, I would definitely want to get into my English writing class. So I would put English Writing 300. That is a 3-unit class. I would want to take my one of my math classes. The math I've chosen here is statistics. That is a 4-unit class. And then I want to make sure that I'm choosing the right major. So I'm choosing to take Business 300. That is an introduction to business class. There's a lot of introduction classes that are under the number 300. So Administration of Justice 300, if you're considering criminal justice, or Psychology 300, if you're considering psychology, geology, geography 300. So there's a lot of different 300 classes that are introductory. Again, that's a way of how to explore if that is the right major for you. And it counts towards transferring, and most of the times these classes count towards general education. You just have to make sure you read the course description to see if it does. The other class that is highly recommended is the HCD 310. That stands for Human Career Development, and it's a college success class. Highly recommended for any brand new student, especially because it'll teach you about transferable classes, how to transfer soon, and how to research schools, how to do major exploration, how to understand the general education requirements, plus test anxiety, how to understand, how to read and how to study for college level classes. This is an overall great class. And the better part is it is general education. It transfers to the CSUs as general education, and it transfers as electives to the UCs, okay? And then at the very end, if you're still looking for other classes that you can sign up for, I would suggest checking out the CSU GE pattern or the IGETC. So you can see which of the areas under both of those patterns are sections that you are missing, and therefore you can focus on taking something that may work for you. If you're not transferring, then stick with the ARC general education pattern. Here on my example, I put Ethnic Studies 300. This is a new class that is going to teach you about multiple cultural backgrounds. So it's a great starter class. Again, it's a 300. It's an introductory class as well. Now, before I forget, it is important that you know that students who have AP credits through AP, IB, or have taken a CLEP test, you may already have college credits. If you got scores of 3, 4s, or 5s, be sure to meet with a counselor to know if you've already met certain requirements. If you've done dual enrollment or if you've done advanced education, you probably already have college credits. So it's important, again, that you meet with a counselor just to make sure we're not duplicating credits, okay? Because we want to make sure that you're taking the right classes and you're not repeating something you've already completed, okay? And then before I forget, I want to make sure that you guys know that ARC is committed to sharing information about different cultural backgrounds. So this is another amazing opportunity of how to join a learning community and learn about different cultural backgrounds. Here we have the Puente Project, Moja Saku, and then Price. But we also have the Native American Research Center, where students can learn about cultural backgrounds by taking some college level writing classes, plus possibly some human career development classes taught by counselors. And you can learn so much. And the other thing is you do not have to be part of this cultural background in order to join. These learning communities are open to all students. Now, you want to email the coordinators. Their emails are listed down here. Ask them for information on how to join and be part of your community by being part of these learning communities, okay? Getting additional support, here's just a short list of the many support services and programs that we have at ARC. We have over 50, okay? And tutoring is probably one of the best free services we have at ARC. You can do tutoring online or completely in person, whichever works for you. You just got to make sure that you seek out these services, talk to your coach, talk to your peer mentors, talk to your counselors. We can give you the resources that you need so you can be successful throughout your time at ARC. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmelita. Thank you, Carmelita. We have roadmaps in our college, and what it helps you see is the recommended sequence of courses you should be taking for your specific major. Please make sure to meet with your counselors to go over these roadmaps. This slide is designed to help you register and enroll in your first semester of courses at ARC. These are some key terms to be aware of as you are looking for courses. Prereqs mean a course that must be taken before a certain course. So it could mean, for example, English 300 is a prereq for English 302. A coreq means a course that must be taken with a specific course. So a lot of could be chemistry with lab, physics with lab, biology with lab. Another example would be Math 73 is a coreq for Math 373 because Math 73 is a support class based on placements. An advisory is a course advised by your counselor that this course must be taken before a certain course. So English writing could be an advisory course for a history or psychology class because you may need to write a lot of journal entries or essays in that specific class. Why take 15 units? So the reason for that is if in the first year and your first semester you do 15, and in your second you do 15, that equals to 30. And if you repeat that, then that equals 60 units, and that's transferable to a UC or CSU. Also, you get the most out of your financial aid if you're full-time, with 12 units is full-time. So just for you to know. Weekly load, if you have work or if you have obligations, if you have other responsibilities, taking 15 units may not be ideal for you. Because taking 15 units is equivalent to more than a full-time job. 15 units also equals 15 units in class, and each unit equals 2 or 3 hours of study time outside of class. So if you know you have certain things that you do outside, maybe you work, maybe you have other responsibilities, 15 units may not be ideal for you, but do talk to your counselor to know what fits best for you. This Get Connected worksheet, there's a couple questions here that will help during your first counseling appointment with your counselors. The first question is, what is your educational goal? And Carmelita talked about our certificates, associate's degree, and the associates for transfer. So just having a general idea of what you would be working towards. The second question is about your major or dream job. If you're undecided or undeclared, no worries. Just talk to your counselor about favorite hobbies, things you like to do the most, or activities you're passionate about. That way, your counselor can determine a major best fit for you. Reminder, enroll in classes on your registration date. That's very important because you want to register on the date that is provided for you. That helps you not be waitlisted in classes, and it also, some of our students get priority registration, so that means you get a date before other students, and so enrolling in those classes can save you that seat in your class. Pay for your classes as soon as possible. Look out for any FYE communication. We do have a lot of events and workshops we put out for you, so please continue to look out for our communication, review the next steps flyer, and remember, you're in charge of your education and we're here to support you in that academic journey. The vaccine mandate at American River College. So if you're only taking online classes and will not be visiting the physical campus for any reason, you do not need to provide proof of vaccination or have an approved exemption on file. But if you will be attending classes on ground or using any on-ground services at ARC, you need to submit proof of vaccination or have your exemption request approved. And our peer mentors in the chat room can definitely help you and show you where you can upload your vaccination, proof of vaccination or exemption request. The vaccine mandate at ARC, you will be able to enroll in on-ground classes before submitting the proof of vaccination, or without having an approved exemption. But if you do not submit that proof of vaccination, you will be dropped 2 weeks before your classes start. So please make sure that you do submit your vaccination, proof of vaccination, or have an approved exemption. And lastly, stay connected. Please take a screenshot or save this to your computer and use these resources